When kobolds mount mom and sling some of that Jesus juice, what happens? Today we're going to be looking at the female anatomy of a kobold to see how she creates pups that, if you're not careful, will be eating you soon. This is what the interior of a female kobold looks like, so let's take a journey from beginning to end. And all of this is coming from the mating manual based on my manga series, which, by the way, has nothing to do with gooner life, by the way. Anyway, so when the kobold Spong wants to spit his game into the vaginal cavity, you may notice something. This does not look like a human thing at all. And that's because when the female is ready to actually mate, she sends off a call and all the boys come to the yard, if you know what I mean. I'm not going to go back over the male anatomy here, but all you need to know is this thing can tank 3 to 5 of them at once. Because the entire job of the Spong is to literally shoot it out and get out, there's a ton of ports that are divided from the center down, which will either take them into the left cervical chamber or the right cervical chamber. And so you may be noticing there's 2 additional parts to the chambers called spermicide springs. And the cool thing about the spermicide springs is that for the kobolds who cannot end up shooting all the way to the back, which will take them directly to the cervix, these guys have to fight for their life, meaning that they have to navigate through the cervical chamber before the spermicide springs fire off, well, spermicide and kill them off, which is where the cervigates come into play. Because once a sperm makes his way all the way down here, he'll be able to actually enter into the cervix. The really cool thing about the cervix is that it will actually end up waiting until the chambers have actually been detoxed of all the spermicide, in which case the minors will open up, it'll hold all the sperm in here until everything's clean, and then the cervigate will actually open up into the uterus itself. And the first thing that you may notice is that there is a ton of eggs here, and that's because the female kobold will give birth to a ton of pups at once. An entire litter of pups are created and stored in here. And the thing is, once a little spermy sperm meets an egg, it creates a special coating to protect it what's coming next from the matral. And the matral ends up filling this entire uterine with a special chemical that is designed to kill all the sperm and detach all the eggs. And once that happens, they go down the rectal flush, get put into the rectum, and then excreted from the back door. And so besides flushing the system out, which it actually does for periods as well, the matral is also responsible once everything's fertilized and the eggs come off the wall and are floating around in the uterus. It actually provides nutrients to all the babies that are forming here. And whenever the babies are ready to come out, the surrogate ends up opening up, the vaginal area ends up opening up as well and spitting the little pups out. But you can pick a creature to go into the mating manual by grabbing ruby gold or get a character into the lore with diamond. And the mating manual is more than just a gooner manual. It's a literal world building tool where you'll follow the 2 research teams, Sir Cumbervent and Seacumber, as they gather information on the lore of the races here, where we discuss dating and courtship expectations, reproduction, offspring rearing, along with breeding, how breeding works if you're not one of those species such as a human, how is the general society of this species handled. Like, for example, this is just a draft, but there's 3 pages right here about just dating. But you got to the end of the month to join the Ruby Goals to put a creature in the book.